So what are the problems with using insecticides in your garden? So the first issue comes from the type that you're using. So if you are buying inorganic ingredients, so whether that's chemical insecticides that are pre-made, or whether you're buying metal salts and soaps to make up your own insecticides at home, those are going to build up in the soil if you use them regularly. And that is not going to have positive effects. It's going to keep killing things you don't want to kill. Now, all of those things do break down, but sometimes that can take a long time. And then it's going to mean that you have a lot of issues coming from that. And to get around that issue, you can try making them from plants. So this is a carrot tree, and this over here is a violet tree. Both of these are native trees which are chemically very distinctive, and they have very few of their own pests, and anything that can eat them can't eat anything else. So that's going to mean that if you grind parts of these up, and if you use that to treat an aphid infestation or a caterpillar infestation on a particular plant, it's going to not only kill that quickly, but because it's entirely made from plants in the garden, it's going to break down as fast as well. There are a whole bunch of other native plants that you can use for that, including things like bracken and the erythrinas. But those still have some issues because they're not just toxic to your pests, they're toxic to you, they're toxic to everyone. You need to keep anything you make out of these well out of reach of pets and children, because like chemical insecticides, they're still poisonous, they just break down faster. So possibly the biggest issue though with insecticides is that you can't use them as a long-term solution. Anytime you're using insecticides, you're going to run into an issue called resistance. And that means that if they're exposed to things, your pests are going to be able to cope with that chemical much faster than the things that eat your pests. So there are insects that lay their eggs inside the pest, there are insects that eat the pest directly, and they're never as common and they never breed as fast as the pests. In a normal situation, they'll keep the pest numbers down and from becoming a problem. If you're using insecticides, they're gone and your pests are not. So one example where this can happen is with an insect called a citrus swallowtail. So the adult of this is a beautiful yellow and black butterfly, and the caterpillar feeds on citrus leaves. It's not just citrus leaves, it's actually native to Zambia, and it feeds on a few native plants which are related to citrus. But because it's well adapted to them, it eats mature leaves normally and leaves the developing buds alone, which means it doesn't usually affect the health and growth of a citrus tree. But if it's parasites, which are little tiny wasps which follow the adult butterfly around and lay their eggs inside the eggs of the butterfly most of the time, if those are gone, then there's going to be more caterpillars than there normally are present in the system. And that means they're going to run out of mature leaves to eat, and they're going to start eating the young, tender leaves, and that is really going to affect the health of your plant. So as soon as that wasp goes, you go from having a caterpillar which does a little bit of damage but doesn't cause any serious issues to the tree to having a real pest issue. So what you want to do there is you want to find out why those aren't present or why your pests are breeding to such big numbers. And if you have to use insecticides, use them briefly until you can address that issue, and then try and get the system healthier and keeping your pests down without having to intervene at all.